It's said that history repeats itself, but sometimes it seems that history just disappears. There are parts of our planet's history that we know should be there, but for one reason or another, they've just not preserved in the fossil or geological records. And nowhere is this more true than the very first part of Earth's existence. We know so much about what happened after life first arose, but the events leading up to that remain shrouded in mystery. There is a huge chunk of our planet's past that scientists just can't explain, a prehistoric time hole that covers nearly a quarter of Earth's entire history. Now, researchers have discovered some new details about what was happening during this mysterious period, but it's only raised more questions. Earth has a rich geological history written in stone. Sedimentary rock forms from particles of rock, minerals, and organic matter that accumulate over time. Layers of sediment get buried and compressed into layers of sedimentary rock, and because the age of these layers is often related to the depth at which they're found. By examining exposed rock layers, scientists can read Earth's history. Researchers can use the composition of rocks to learn about volcanic activity, climate, and even ice ages. They can also study fossils to see how life evolved over billions of years. Together, all of this information tells the story of our planet, from its formation 4.5 billion years ago up until now. But when scientists pieced together Earth's history, something didn't add up. Large gaps existed in the geological record, meaning there were chunks of Earth's history that were missing. These missing chapters make it difficult to understand major transitions in Earth's history, like the rise of oxygen in the atmosphere and the origins of complex life. One of the biggest of these gaps is known as the Great Unconformity. It represents over 1 billion years of Earth's history that are virtually unrepresented in the geological record. It's named for the Grand Canyon, where the oldest rocks at the bottom are more than 1.8 billion years old, but the youngest rocks at the top are 540 million years old. That means there's a huge hole of 1.3 billion years between them. The rocks that should have bridged that gap are missing, which suggests that a fifth of Earth's existence has been erased from the geological record. Now, this doesn't mean that nothing happened during those missing billion years. We know that lots of things were happening based on the geological evidence that does exist. We know that volcanoes were releasing gases and particles into the atmosphere. We know that glaciers were forming and melting. We know that the first cells were arising. All of this we can piece together from the fossil record and from the chemical and physical properties of the rocks that do remain. But we don't have a continuous geological record of it. So while we may know that life first arose sometime before 600 million years ago, we don't know exactly when or how or what the world was like while it was happening. It's frustrating for scientists because understanding this period could help us better understand life today. For example, figuring out how life arose could shed light on whether or not life elsewhere in the universe might follow similar patterns. So scientists have spent a lot of time trying to fill in this gap. One prevailing hypothesis is that Earth experienced a series of ice ages that wiped away much of the early geological record. In the late 1950s, scientists noticed that many of the ancient rocks that did exist had features that suggested they had been eroded by ice, like striations and grooves. So they proposed a model known as Snowball Earth. This model suggested that Earth was completely covered in ice for extended periods of time, and that the missing geological record was lost to erosion during these icy episodes. But recent research has called the Snowball Earth model into question. Studies have shown that the features scientists once thought were left by glaciers can actually be explained by other geological processes. And other evidence suggests that glaciers weren't present at all during the time period in question. That's led scientists to hypothesize that erosion must have occurred in pulses, meaning that it would have happened in different places at different times, making it harder to detect. But pinpointing when exactly these pulses of erosion occurred has proven difficult. Sedimentary rocks contain small grains called zircon crystals. Zircon is durable, resistant to weathering, and able to withstand heat and pressure. So zircon crystals are often the only part of ancient rocks that remain. And each crystal grows incrementally as new layers of rock are deposited. Zircon crystals grow in size over time, so their age is related to the number of layers of rock they have incorporated. Scientists can analyze the size and composition of zircon crystals to learn more about the conditions under which they formed. And in a paper published in the journal Geology this week, researchers used this technique called thermochronology to to analyze zircon crystals collected from ancient rocks in South Africa and Western Australia. Their goal was to better understand the timing and duration of the erosive events that caused the Great Unconformity in the western part of South Africa. The researchers analyzed 2 samples of sedimentary rock, each containing many zircon crystals. The rocks themselves are 720 million and 660 million years old, but the zircon crystals within them told a different story. One sample contained crystals that were almost entirely 900 million years old, while the other contained crystals that ranged in age from 900 million to 720 million years old. The oldest crystals represent the oldest sedimentary rock that has ever been found in southern Africa. Meanwhile, the younger crystals suggest that deposition and erosion continued in the region for another 200 million years. The researchers interpreted this as evidence that the region experienced an extended period of erosion following the deposition of the oldest rock, which they dated to around 900 million years ago. But then, a new episode of sedimentation began 200 million years later, which created the younger rock layers. After that, the region remained stable until it was eroded away again, around 720 million years ago. But the story was different in Western Australia. Here, the researchers analyzed 3 samples of sedimentary rock that were all around 700 million years old. Again, the zircon crystals told a different story. Their ages ranged from 900 million to 700 million years old, but there were no crystals from the period between 850 million and 700 million years ago. That meant that this region also experienced a pulse of erosion around 900 million years ago, but there was a second episode that removed any sedimentary deposits from between 850 and 700 million years ago. Taken together, these results suggested that the missing chunk of Earth's history wasn't lost all at once. Instead, the geological record was eroded away in pulses that spanned hundreds of millions of years. It's possible that this prolonged erosion played a role in shaping Earth's early history. For example, it could have prevented complex life from evolving until the conditions were more favorable, or it could have influenced the way that life evolved once complex cells did arise. Now, this study focused on only 2 locations, so it can't provide a complete picture of what was happening on a global scale. More research will be needed to determine whether erosion played a role in the formation of the Great Unconformity elsewhere on Earth, and it remains to be seen whether these pulses of erosion were driven by climatic or tectonic factors. But this study does show that Earth's history is more complex than we once thought, and it suggests that the Great Unconformity is really a collection of smaller unconformities that occurred at different times and in different places. With more research, we may be able to fill in the blanks of our prehistoric past and better understand what shaped the world we live in today. If you liked this video, check out this playlist for more fun science shorts. And if you love science and tech stories, follow along for more updates. Thanks for watching.